Back again to the third session of the Global Competitiveness Summit, Ambassadors Edition, on the role of youth in enhancing competitiveness. And I have the honor of hosting Mrs. Hana El-Hilali, Executive Advisor for the Chairman, Egyptian Arab Land Bank, Mr. Walid Abdelrahim, Deputy Director, KfW Bank and Group in the Cairo office, and Mr. Azzeddine Ahmed, Chairman, National Technology Group. Thank you so much for joining today, and our panel will be about financial inclusion. We know that for financial inclusion, Egypt has done a lot of effort in the fintech, in all aspects of financial online payments and so forth. Even the growth of online payments and digital payments in Egypt was recorded to be 36% between 2018 and 2019. Believe it or not, who were the users? Who were the customers? They were youth. Most of them were in the age between 25 to 35. So youth already are within driving the financial inclusion, and they are within I can't define it, it's kind of, are they the cause of the financial inclusion, or are they within the financial inclusion? So I know, Mrs. Hilali, that you've been, you have a lot of experience maybe on, as well, the social fund and social aspect of development, economic and social development, and on maybe projects, SMEs for youth, right? So I'd like to ask you, when a young person, entrepreneur, comes and asks your advice, what would you tell them? How I need access to finance, I need to open my small business. What would you tell them?
Thank you very much, Ismet, and please allow me first to congratulate Global Trade Matters on a very important topic that touches our hearts. As we heard Dr. Maya Morsi mentioning before, the percentage of youth in the community and how we can target and how we can develop. Let me also start by a few words that I really like and I think it's inspiring. Youth are our future. Actually, they give us the sense of inspiration, and let their inspiration and determination remind us how we used to be as older generations. So we say, if there's a will, there's a way. Your question to me that you have addressed mentions how can a young entrepreneur approach a bank, a financial institution, an MFI, and so on and so forth, to get the loan that could help him or help her start the business. First of all, let me highlight and pinpoint the important pillars for establishing a business. And SMEs, as you mentioned, I was heading the social fund, and now I pride myself in joining one of the big private sector banks that focuses on corporate, retail, and also on SMEs as a main pillar, and on community development. You mentioned social and economic development. But let me pinpoint the pillars, the important pillars. Before you start the project, you need entrepreneurship awareness. We still lack this awareness in the market in Egypt, and maybe in the Arab world. I also pride myself as being advisor to the Arab Business Women Council for SMEs, and there's still a long, long way to go, not only in Egypt, and maybe I should call on Ashraf and Nancy to hold a regional conference on this very important topic, and I'll be happy to assist with the members of the Arab Business Council. Because we should reciprocate, we should exchange ideas, exchange know-how, and so on and so forth. So entrepreneurship awareness, that I call on the media present today to highlight and to encourage young entrepreneurs to enter into being business entrepreneurs for the future. We can demonstrate success stories, and we have millions of success stories. During my past life at the Social Fund, we had this actually being highlighted, being encouraged, and being supported. So entrepreneurship awareness and media plays a very important role in success stories. I come to the next pillar, which is access to training. A young entrepreneur who graduates from university doesn't have the know-how. They don't know how to do a feasibility study. They don't know how to do HR policies, marketing strategies, and so on and so forth. So how could they start a project, be it a clinic, be it a trade project, and so on and so forth. Also, vocational training is very important. They don't know how to make feasibility studies. They don't know the legal aspects of doing business. Number 3 is the licensing aspect. Okay, you want to establish your own project as a young entrepreneur. You will face many obstacles thereon. So if you want to get the license, there's the one-stop shop of the social fund at different entities, but still there's a long way to go to enhance and to facilitate and to streamline the procedures. Number 3, access to markets. So this is number 4, I guess. Access to markets. If you produce this much, are you able to sell it? Not really. You need to study the market,
The right market
strategy, and this is also an important pillar, as we mentioned earlier, training and feasibility studies, marketing strategies, and so on and so forth. So an e-marketing process is very important. Now we see internet marketing and online and this and that. We would like to see this happening in Egypt. We want another Amazon, another Alibaba, and so on and so forth. Within my initiative and the advisory I give to the Arab Businesswomen Council also, we have established and partnered in e-marketing aspects. You photograph the products, you have it on your website, you matchmake, and you can purchase online with all the facilities around it. So, as we mentioned now, the access to finance is the, and I stress on that, the most important. And coming from the banking sector, now I'm wearing my other hat. We have seen the 200 billion Egyptian pounds initiative of the Central Bank of Egypt, and I think this is an excellent initiative. It's coming to an end by the end of this year, but I'm sure, I'm almost positive that the Central Bank will extend the initiative due to its access to young entrepreneurs to provide them with the necessary access to finance. Important is the startups. I think this is the next step to encourage startups because young entrepreneurs don't have this facility and this luxury. I mean, when I come from the banking sector, banks refrain from the startups due to the high risk involved. So we come to angel investors, venture capitals as very important tools for that. I don't want to take much more time from my colleagues on the panel.
Very interesting,
but we have so many things to discuss. And to recommend.
But another very short thing, briefly. So you're implying right now it's not only the role of banks right now in empowering youth and giving them the access to finance. There are many other things or services and vehicles that will appear.
Yes, the NGOs mainly. I mean, the non-governmental organizations play a very, very important role, and I sit on the board of different NGOs who cater to this very important factor. But actually it's rather focused on microfinance more than small. We can see also the importance of feeding industries when it comes to SMEs. If you have an industrial cluster that would act as a feeding industry to the larger project, I think you eliminate the problem of marketing.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Again, Mrs. El-Hilali now mentioned many factors and many things and many advices we can give and how they find they don't lose their direction, the youth, when they come to look to find and access finance. Now I would like to ask Mr. Walid maybe about on a cooperational level, okay, as you are the Deputy Director KFW Bank, and it's basically, it involves cooperation and projects between Egypt and Germany, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong. And I'd like to ask, you have many of your projects that I'm sure that you apply the latest technologies, digitalization, you're aware of all those important things in your projects and initiatives, but how do you say that you, how do you focus on youth, in a sense? This is my question.
By the way, I'd like to mention that we had excellent partnership with the KfW during my past life at
I would imagine.
in micro and in infrastructure projects as well. So I'm very
infrastructure
happy
project.
to have Walid on this path.
And we are coming back, by the way, to the same organization which just changed its name and with probably larger mandate, the SMEDA, the micro, small and medium
Enterprise Development
Agency. Yes, we are discussing seriously with them now two programs to support SMEs and see we know each other for a long time.
We're not going to mention how many years.
No,
be nice.
I will not. But I will mention something else. For the first time, I fully agree with Madame Bilal. Fully. I mean, we used to argue before about certain.
For the sake of business,
of course, yes. As Iban, of course, we have to work with the Egyptian government on providing certain types of finance. Sometimes we provide them through government agencies like SMEDA, sometimes directly through banks, but what we target at the end is the really small investors, not the small in the definition of the central bank, but we put even a smaller threshold to reach those who have difficulties to access a certain type of finance. As we come usually with concessional loans, and then the lending is a different rate, and the difference between these and that generates, plus also grants that we provide, generate funds to help on the soft side of the story. We do not focus on a specific sector to finance. Services, of course, industrial activities. The main target, or what we really watch carefully, is how many jobs this specific measure or project or whatever generated. This is the main thing. Let me allow, I know that we'll come back with other questions probably, but I have to say something that I cannot. I have to thank this young gentlemen and ladies to be here today. I see them, the leaders of the future. My problem, not with them, but my problem, they need people to help them to work. They will be the leaders. But we have to enable the market now for them to provide people to work with them. You saw the figures mentioned by Dr. Maya this morning. I have an issue with the, let me call it in a pity way, the uneducated large number of youth who will actually carry all the burden in the future. Who will drive the economy in this country in the future? And I'm not talking about formal education. Something has to be done to allow these people. You see, we are talking about access to finance. They don't have any chance actually. Without a certain level of education. We are busy talking about the entrepreneurship and ideas and so on, but they cannot even come with an idea. And they don't have a chance. And here we have to enable, I'm not talking about enforcement, or enable the market for them to come close to any chance.
But then again, how do you enable? Do you have a certain strategy or plan for doing that, or maybe through your
yes, when we talk actually about what we call it economic sustainable development as a large name, which takes currently 14% of the total portfolio of KfW in Egypt. And this will increase in the near future to a more substantial figure. It's not only about MSME and small and medium, no, but this is the one side of the story. But to provide the market with people who can do this, we do heavily support technical vocational training schools and excellent centers of excellence in areas where we see the market will come at in the very near future. One of them is renewable energy, maintenance of assets in the renewable energy, where Egypt is actually taking the lead in the Middle East. Education is part of what we are doing, even primary education, just to cover the gap in classes and so on. But vocational training is an essential part that is currently needed and will be needed in the future. It's not only about providing spaces and ideas and technologies for this, but also change the mentality of the whoever will go to this training class or get formal education to be a proper and good technician in the future.
Of course, this is very important and essential part, and I'll get to you back again at a later phase on the regulations on maybe financial inclusion and so on. But we'll a little bit, of course, Mr. Azzeddine will talk to us more about fintech, right? And of course, we'll back again towards discussing a little bit on the online payment, the cashless economy, and maybe the mentoring. This is what I would like to ask you about. What is the role of mentoring, and how is it important to mentor and to upgrade the skill, revamp sort of the skills of the youth, and to make them being able, they know what they're doing. So should we introduce this maybe for the young generation with us here in the room right now? Should we introduce new courses, seminars, make them do their own conferences about financial inclusion and what they should know, or how should mentoring go in this?
First of all, I'm grateful, thankful, and honored to be in such a distinguished panel. Thank you so much. As we all agree, tomorrow belongs to the young ones. They don't belong to us. They belong to the young generation that we owe them all possible support and help to give them a far better chance even than the one we took, so they can do far better than what we've done. Hopefully they will do far, far better than what we've done. Hopefully. It is, as I always say, the young ones rule. They really rule all the way. Now, how can we help the young ones to do better, get better, and achieve better? I think, as you've said, that there is a lot of work that needs to be done in developing and pushing concepts of entrepreneurship throughout the different levels of education. I do, in my part-time, a lot of mentoring in incubators and with a lot of seed financing and seed money. And I can tell you, awesome kids, awesome ideas, beautiful stuff. And I see in them real big hope in what tomorrow looks like for our country. However, this being said, I truly and sincerely believe that there is far more out there than the limited number of people that I see in the incubators, again limited number of incubators, or again limited number of seed money available out there. And the reason for this is not only by necessity inability to access such places, but because there is a lot of entrepreneurship training that was never ever been made available to, in general, even the whole population of Egypt. There are a lot of people with great and entrepreneurship inside them, but they were never given half a chance of going forward. Beginning from the poor lady who sits and sells gargir on the corner instead of just sitting doing nothing, all the way to the guys who had the beautiful ideas of money circles and had beautiful ideas of all kind of fintech projects coming out that I am proud that at least as part in one of two went all the way, even today, into second and third round of finance. I think we owe the young ones really a lot of expose to what is entrepreneurship. How can we help, and how can for each and every one of the young ones help them find their entrepreneurial path inside them, because each and every one has it. As we had our discussions before, who rules the social media? Definitely not the old ones like me at all. Social media is run by the young ones. And the impact that the social media did on each and everyone's life in aspects that we can't even begin to grasp belongs to the young ones. And I believe that we must, in so many ways, enable them to have access to discover this small little entrepreneur inside each and every one of them.
Thank you very much. Again, back to you, Mrs. Haneh. I would like to ask you, do we have the sort of the cashless culture, or not yet? It's not yet. Yes, maybe it's for youth. It's easier to assimilate it, but not for the whole society. And of course, do we have it, or we still need to make people more aware of it, especially in your side of, if you've been working with the social fund, so I mean, this will involve a lot, and I think it already does involve a lot of the digitalization, online payments, the cashless economy, right? So what do you think?
Well, I'll get back to your point on the facilitators, the incubators. Maybe I'll beg to differ in a small point. There are business accelerators for SMEs that we are seeing being spread now in many places, like the AUC Venture Lab, Flash 6 Labs. I mean, this is really inspiring, and that's where the youngsters, and especially the IT-focused youngsters, are there. So they're given the chance. I've seen so many inspiring cycles graduating, and I think this is a very good hand. In addition to angel investors, and Your Excellency have mentioned, seed funds. So angel investors are there to help, but there's still a very important role. There's a big gap in the society. I totally agree with that when it comes to entrepreneurship. Maybe I should tell you in a second a live example of entrepreneurship, my son, and I'm very proud of that.
That would be great.
Yeah, but this is a real fact. Yeah. When he graduated, he's an engineer, an architect. He worked for Dar al-Handasa, and of course we all know who Dar al-Handasa is, one of the largest in the region. He was there for a year or two, I remember, and he was doing very, very well. But out of the blues, he said, they're killing all my ideas, all my creativity. I want to have my own business. So as parents, we said, okay, I think so, you go ahead, on you go. We wanted to test him, how is it? Yeah. With
what he would do.
This is not going to work. I don't think it would happen. But now, he established his office, his own design office, his design studio, and wherever I go, you are the mother of so-and-so.
That's perfect.
I mean, we are known now by our son's name. So, I mean, it's embedded within them when it comes to creativity, when it comes to entrepreneurship, and so on and so forth. But there must be a strong will to achieve. There must be success stories. You have mentioned social media, and I totally agree. We can demonstrate success stories of successful SMEs to encourage others on television, on satellites, and we had seen several programs on CXtra and the likes, encouraging entrepreneurs and demonstrating success stories and having competitions with prizes to encourage them. Back to your question on the digital and on the cashless and if you see the percentage of female-headed households in villages who use mobile applications, mobile apps, and we have seen my friend Dr. Maya Morsi mentioning that, if they don't have, any means, but they do have their smartphones, they access their smartphones. A very good and live example of digital services is the Fawri, and we all know Fawri. I have seen the ولادة Fawri, actually, the delivery of Fawri since its inception. Sometimes you lose the word.
Yeah.
Since its inception, we see it in stores, we see it in pharmacies, we see it in kiosks, and so on and so forth. So they have that interest, they have that will to use the digital, but I'm going to go back to a very important factor that could affect and should affect actually our economy, which is the informal sector. How can we transform the informal to formal? A big percentage that affects our GDP is the transformation of the informal to informal. Why should I get into the formal sector? I don't want to pay taxes. I don't want to pay social insurance. I want to stay in the shade. So you need to give them incentives. You need to give them exemptions to enable us to enable them to encourage them to transform to the formal sector. If transformed, this will immediately reflect on Egypt's GDP. And this is what the Minister of Finance, actually I sit on committees in the Canadian Egyptian Business Council for SMEs, and we made different recommendations in this regard. The Ministry of Finance now is applying, there's a new revisiting of the law number 141 for the year 2004. Of course, you're familiar with that. With regards to tax incentives and with regards to different facilities. And this is what we call the enabling environment for SMEs to grow. And this is, in fact, what should encourage young entrepreneurs to become business.
Which is, in a sense, the part of the regulations.
Absolutely, the enabling, the licensing, the commissions,
exactly.
And they can exempt them from the past and start, calculating from the future.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Again, back to Mr. Walid, and I would like to ask, of course, Her Excellency Dr. Maya, in the previous session, she highlighted it was all about youth and women, especially. So I'd like to ask you about on a cooperational level, and I know Germany is very, very, German development policy looks very much and focuses on the projects and the initiatives that empower women. So I'd like to ask you, is there something in cooperation as is empowering women between Egypt and Germany in terms of your... as well, does it target certain areas, rural areas, maybe less privileged areas, regions in Egypt?
Okay, I have to be very clear to distinguish now between two main entities that work with with the German government on the German bilateral cooperation. It's the KfW on the financing side and GIZ on the technical assistance side.
Yeah.
GIZ they have programs actually in the past, used to be called even women empowerment programs. Now they have programs on youth empowerment, while from the banking side, something we do not have specific programs, but actually whenever we appraise any project, the gender aspect is always there. We have to make
with
sure...
a gender approach.
Yeah, we have to make sure that at least the women will not be affected by implementing this project. It's part of the social part of the project appraisal. Whenever we study a project, we do not have specific as I said, targets, but I can tell you in my office, 70% of the professional employees are women. We did not have this target, but in fact, I mean, with very fair competition and interviews and so on, at the end we ended up with the 70%. We have a program that we are financing currently with a bank. We found that 20% of the projects, this is on financing small enterprises. 20% of the applications in Upper Egypt and the Delta, I excluded Cairo even because it will disturb the figure, came from young ladies who own and run completely small companies. We're talking about, again, services or a small factory or whatever. I mean, here it's not the issue, but if we talk about the gender, and we have it and we have to monitor it. I mean, we want to know how many jobs and this business is owned by
women or men?
Yes.
Okay. That's great. So you have already indicators for taking this into consideration anyway. That's great. Thank you very much, Mr. Azzeddin. My last question will be about social media. As you mentioned before, I'd like to talk. I'd like you to talk more about social media. And because this is the platform that youth uses right now, so should we address them and put our mentoring and all what the messages we want to send, how we want to empower them? Should it be all through social media, especially that social media involves as well digital and fintech, and it involves all aspects of that you can imagine. So it's a big, horizon.
It is funny that you mentioned this because I got with a bunch of friends of mine, so we all do mentoring, and we're trying to do some kind of Egyptian style Khan Academy for entrepreneurship. We were thinking and we're putting together some good ideas. Hopefully we'll see the light some way when we unfortunately give enough time and money and energy, but we're all running doing a million other things. We believe in the strength of the social media. We believe in the strength of the e-component of life because it's become more and more dominant in every aspect. And we believe that if we avail some kind of Khan Academy style of ideas and about, wouldn't call them curriculums because they'll never be curriculums. They're just things that we talk about and help people who want to help themselves and are looking for resources, either to look for the small entrepreneur inside them or look for means of taking it beyond an idea and go to incubators or go to angel or seed funding. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to, we've got a bunch of people together, trying to do exactly what you are proposing. We will have, hopefully, and in the near future, an Egyptian Khan Academy, but not for curriculums, but simply for entrepreneurship.
That's great. This would be a lovely thing, and if it's a national initiative as well, it would be really empowering for you. Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, back to what Dr. Rice said was very inspiring. I think we really need to move forward on that through also business incubation. I strongly believe in the importance of social media. So if we can demonstrate success stories of successful entrepreneurs, that would be great. I would also like to reiterate 2 points. First, we at the Egyptian Arab Land Bank have a specialized loan for women and women entrepreneurs or retail, also in retail business. So we provide for certain packages, loans for women to empower them.
And specific projects, I might ask, I mean...
Of course.
Yes, specific
course,
project.
Sectoral,
yeah.
Okay. So my second point is linking this panel with SDGs. I'm a UN advisor in SDGs, so very important pillars in the SDGs, first of all, is leaving no one behind, ending poverty, women empowerment, decent jobs for all. So I mean, all this combined, also innovation and creativity is one of the pillars. So all this combined calls for the strengthening of women empowerment, of youth entrepreneurs, of poverty, whether it's in NGOs, in villages, in female-headed households. I mean, all this combined, stresses the importance of SDGs in implementing this very important factor.
Definitely. Thank you very much. Now I might ask for a wrap-up comment from each of you, if you might allow me. Now, what we reach the conclusion that youth are able and they are willing to change and they're willing to include more fintech and more financial inclusiveness, and they will be included in the they will be part of the financial inclusiveness. So, but what do you think are, maybe in 1 minute, each of you, the messages that you would like to give them, or maybe if you see some opportunities they have they're not taking care of, or some challenges they might face, you'd like to just advise them what to do. Thank you. Yes, please, the three of you, if you can.
Thank you very much. This has been most inspiring. I'm going to call for Global Trade Matters to have a specific forum for youth and youth entrepreneurship and women empowerment. I'm willing to assist also in having it as a regional event.
That would be perfect.
Within the Arab region. Also, how to enhance youth entrepreneurship through social media, as we all mentioned. I think we all agree to that. How to provide for the enabling environment to encourage youth to be successful entrepreneurs. How to link youth entrepreneurship with SDGs and women empowerment with SDGs. And I think this is an excellent platform to relay all this. Also, the media should play a very important role in encouraging youth entrepreneurship. And a final quote I would like to end up with is, I believe youth is our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty we have inside.
Thank you very much. Mr. Walid, if you may.
Yeah, my message is not for the youth, because actually I believe that they will do what they have to do, and they will reach great. Yes, I mean, what one can see. My message is see, after our economic reform program, which I see that we are not there yet. The first stage is about to be completed, where actually it was easy to do because we pushed buttons here and there, and
we had the manual, sort of.
Exactly. Yes, you know what I want to say. Okay. We have the book. I mean, we open the book, which page, and we know, and then adapted certain things to Egyptian context, and then it was done. The second stage, we should not stop and take a breath and then continue. We don't have the luxury to in my mind, I have three things. Two of them are relevant to what we're discussing today. One is the combat of corruption, especially the petty corruption, the small one. And here I give you a very, very quick example. I mean, this law will be modified. It will probably enable, it will convince the people it's not about tax, it's about formalization. So you are known and then you can get more benefits. But the problem is that it's always in minds of many people that it's about tax. And then we have to see the young one who actually is waiting for the chance to see any sign of a new company or a new shop or whatever, and then runs to him and say, "You didn't pay tax," and then corruption starts here. This we have to stop.
Of course.
This we have to stop.
It's essential.
Exactly. Yes. So what I mean, message is that we did not finish. This is the second part. Yeah, there is no manual for it. As I said, there are 3 points. This is one of them, in my mind. And it doesn't have a manual, but it will be most welcomed by the people. The first stage we had, difficulties. The government came with something to cushion the impact of this of the first stage. The second one will be most welcomed by the people, but we don't have a manual for it.
It's like a trial or error or learning by doing,
no,
or
we don't have. No, I don't think we have the luxury for
the luxury for
no,
the time and the luxury.
No, but we have great brains. Mm-hmm. And the last thing I would like to say, this is to clean the mess that we did that for the younger generation to continue in the future.
Very good, but still it's optimistic, though, yeah, it's hopefully...
It's inevitable.
I mean, you've mentioned as well the side of the regulations, and they should be uniform for all and empower everyone.
There is, I mean, when I mentioned this legislation, it's not only this law. There are many laws. Our legislations are either old or irrelevant,
so
or
they have to be,
you feel that we are working in a social. Yeah.
Yes, I do
no,
agree.
The country has changed already. I mean, the economy in the
so it's something.
Laws are the legislations are not relevant anymore to what we want to do, and sometimes they present the hurdles actually in front of anyone. I mean, it's not any business to start in the country.
Okay, thank you very much for your insights as well. They're very of great benefit to us. And Mr. Azzeddine?
My message is going to be quite short if you come and look at it this way. My message is we need to put the good, strong, willing minds together and try to do something sustainable in the domain of building entrepreneurship in the minds and the hearts of the ones who own tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much for all of you, and please join me in giving a big round of applause to our panelists, Mr. Azzeddine Ahmed and Mr. Walid Abdullah. Thank you.